Hello, ladies. Welcome to Berlin Live. Hello, Berlin. I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you for coming. How many of you know about women in customer success? Quite a few. So I'm happy that you're here. I'm going to spend the whole night talking about it. Just joking. Women in customer success is celebrating 5th anniversary this year. Actually, I think it was 20th of April 2020, in the middle of pandemic, when I put the podcast out there for one sole reason, to get access to role models, female role models in customer success. Because I heard some data a few months before how 60% of women enter the industry and they are CSMs, but only 30% of all of those women in customer success ever managed to get to a director level or above. So I thought, from so many reasons, that could be the case. Maybe one of the reasons is also not having enough role models. So I started a podcast, and that was 5 years ago. Currently, Women in Customer Success is, think of it as a career hub for women in customer success, where you have access to mentorship, to resources, to masterclasses that we are doing this year with Gainsight, second year in a row already. Masterclasses, courses, and just different types of resources that can help you in your career. I'm very happy to see Laura here. Laura, can you just wave a little bit? Actually, Laura and I started a course that is called Thriving as a First-Time People Leader. And we are resuming it again, or we are taking the second cohort just at the beginning of May. So if you are an aspiring leader, or if you are a leader in customer success, check it out. And then you can spend a few weeks with Laura and me once a week. Before I introduce you to my lovely panel, now this is the time of the day when you can open your bags and see what is inside, because I would like you to find this postcard. On the back of the postcard, you can find more information about women in customer success and our courses. But I would like you to focus on this front side at the moment, because in the next minute or so, I would like you to think about these words that are written here: radiance, resilience, authenticity, or anything else. Now, if you think of one word only that would really set your year, what would that word be? I would like you to think about it. You have a few seconds, and I would like you to share it with a person on your right. Okay, how was that? Nice? Any words? Okay, Tanya, what was your word?
My word was resilience. I need it personally, but I also feel that with developments in the world, external environment, me and my team will need a lot of business and personal resilience as well.
Resilience, good one. One last one, Luisa.
Early stage for the last few years, so I've been sort of a jack of all trades, and now I'm in a bigger company, and I need to really focus on doing the customer success task and not trying to optimize.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for that. The intention of this was just to keep you thinking and trying to get you a bit more focused this year on either becoming more resilient, becoming more intentional, becoming more bold in decision, everything for the purpose of you growing as CS professionals, as leaders, and also to be able to be mindful about yourself and your well-being. I have put every single little item in that bag for a particular reason. And if you look at it, you will find a coloring book for adults. So it's not the easy animals for little kids. So it's mindfulness coloring book, and you have a set of little colors. So when you're in a train or a plane or somewhere, in situations when you just want to scroll on social media, maybe you can just think, maybe I can be mindful for 10 minutes and just color and not go on social media or not think about the email or not think about something else. So this is really here for the purpose to give you a little bit of your time with English puka tea, either radiance, love, joy, anything like that. So think of it as your little self-care pack, some evenings, some train rides, whenever it happens.
Nice.
Oh. And now, the actual reason why you're here. I am super happy to introduce these wonderful ladies that are joining me tonight on this panel, or today before the sunset. Cara Benecke, Stoewe and Pia Schümann-Hoppe. Now, I would like you to introduce yourself much better to the audience. Tell a bit about you, what you do, but also thinking about the weather. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Hello, ladies. So my name is Cara. I'm from Germany, but I live in Spain since 2016. I'm head of customer success and support now. Wow, surprise. At Workflex. Workflex is a startup scale-up, so a little bit that motion that you were in before. And yeah, my career didn't start in customer success. I don't know who started straight away in customer success, their career. Not the only one. So I used to sell detergent to UK supermarkets. Very exciting. Procurement being my main point of contact. And they're very harsh and very on point and very direct. So, and then I got into the startup world like 4 years ago, and I actually started in sales. Haha. And then I thought, how strange. You have the conversation, you have the sales process, and then you sign and then you just say goodbye. And I was like, what is this? Because in key account management, you don't do that. In key account management, you are a farmer and a hunter, right? And I straight away thought, okay, I don't like this. I like the farmer part more. And that's when I hopped into customer success. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Also very excited to network later on. And my favorite ice cream, so I hate ice cream with fruit because I think it doesn't make sense. Ice cream should be something, milky chocolate bad for you. Like strawberry ice cream is something healthy with something bad, and it doesn't make sense for me. So I would pick stracciatella.
Hi, lovely to meet you all. I'm Sally. Thanks a lot, Maria, for having me. I was so excited when you first said that you're going to come to Berlin. I am the co-founder of Customer Obsessing Consulting. So we have a boutique consultancy that focuses on either building a customer success team from scratch, which is a lot of times the case in German Mittelstand, mid-market companies, but also all the way through to scaling customer success, training CSMs. It's the best when we see CSMs being enabled after we've worked with them. I live here in Berlin, so I'm happy that everybody is on my home turf this week. I've been in customer success for 4.5 years by now. Came into it in the middle of COVID through a company called Twilio, where I did customer success operations. And my manager was so great, actually my VP, that I then founded a company with her. So I follow her around. And my favorite ice cream, I'm going to insult you now, Cara, is sour cherry. And I actually already had a bowl of it today already earlier this afternoon. It was lovely. It was very sweet. It was very sweet for my defense.
Hi there, my name is Pia Schümann-Hoppe, and thanks for the invite. I'm not from Berlin, I'm from Hamburg, which is close. I'm the regional vice president for customer success at Seismic, which is, I don't know, does anyone know? Yeah, I see heads nodding. Laura knows, of course. So basically we are a revenue enablement platform which helps your teams, go-to-market teams, customer success, services, sales, to be better, faster, more efficient. So that's kind of what we do. I'm with Seismic almost 2.5 years now. I'm in customer success almost 7 years. And I have a bit not the same career as Cara, but I started in shipping. So I I studied shipping. I used to commercially manage gas tankers trading all over the world. So really, really different. And then, did a few other stops in between. And then I came into the German startup scene. I used to work for Freight Hub, which is now Photo. I think some of you know that, as a key account manager. And then I got approached with a job as a CSM. And I was like, what is that? So I did some research, figured out, farming, that's what I like. And then that's how I shifted. So, and I'm really happy that I made that step. And ice cream. I like salted caramel. And it sounds easy, but it's not. It's either too salty or too sweet. And if you're ever in Hamburg, there's a good ice cream shop called Eis und Innig, which is in Eppendorf. And they do the best salted caramel ice cream. I see some heads nodding, so that's good. So I can highly recommend that.
I hope you're writing notes for that. Thank you, ladies. I would like to see from you, with a raise of hand, who here is a people leader, actually managing other people, managing a team. Very nice, because now I would like us to start thinking about ourselves as leaders and our kind of journey into the leadership. So ladies, my question for you is, when was the first time in your career when you actually saw yourself as a leader? Pia, why don't we start from you? You're holding a mic.
Good question. I would say that sounds so a bit, but already in school, I thought I wanted to be a leader. I was in a sports school. I was really competitive, really motivated. So I figured out early that if I put a lot of hard work into something, I can be better than other people who may be more gifted than I, but not doing the same effort of work into that. And then when I entered my professional life, working in a shipping company, I actually lost a bit that focus because I worked there for 5.5 years. I was still the newest employee, even after 5.5 years. Everyone else worked there already 40 years. So I didn't see that growth part. Even though I was learning, I didn't see really the impact I was making. So I lost that, ambitious part. And then I think I gained it back when I joined Freight Hub, where I could really see the work I'm putting in is having an impact. I can make an impact. I can support people. I can lead people. And I think that's where I really, could see myself being a leader going forward.
Yeah, so I used to, it's a really difficult question, by the way. Thank you. So I used to give classes after school to kids for mathematics and English. And I enjoyed that so much because I saw them coming with bad grades and coming back then after some months with good grades. And that's the moment where I thought, I want to become a leader. I want to be a leader where people get better with my leadership, where people learn, where people see the progress. And I think sometimes it's really hard to find that kind of manager or kind of leader because a lot of, we have a lot of micromanagers, we have a lot of people who put a lot of pressure on it. And those are sort of like managers, but I think leaders are really the ones that, do something that you become better yourself. So that was my first moment where my I think it was 13 years old, came back with 2 better grades. And I was super proud and super happy. But I had the same problem as you had. Maybe the key account manager had the problem. When I came into the professional life then, I was an individual contributor for 6 years and working my ass off. Am I allowed to say that? Ass off? Yeah. And I didn't see it, but also maybe because I didn't have the leader who would push me, which in the end is actually stupid because in the end you have it in your hands, right? You have your career in your own hands and you can do the move, whatever move you want to make. So, and that's when I then straight away said, I think I need to leave this company because the leadership that I see there is not the leadership that I believe in. And that's why I thought straight away again, hey, I want to go back to that when I was actually 16, 17 years old and really become a leader and not just a manager of people. That's the story.
I love that. I'll put the last sentence on a pillow, please. I actually had a bit of the opposite way around. I had a bit of a trial by fire because I did my traineeship in a dual study program that we have here in Germany where you basically study and you already work part of the time. And that was in retail. We were heavily understaffed and the goal was like after 3 years to start having your own team, But after half a year, and mind you, I was like 18 and a quarter, they were like, well, there's nobody else to take that team. Maybe you just give it a try. And I was like, what the actual hell? Are you stupid? Because literally everybody was double my age. And it was purely like the lack of people willing to take the job. And then I got it a bit out of, they pay for my studies, so I do have to follow what they ask of me. And that was a trial by fire. I had that team for close to 2 years. I mean, it's very different from the tech world. It's very like operational. It's very much shift plans, who goes for a smoke when, who comes to work in which clothes, like these type of authority things. But it was a great school because I cried in front of my team. I yelled at my team. I was very, I was 19 or 20. Like it was not cool of me, but I excused. They gave me the chance to grow, and actually still have some of them that still text me like the updates when they're like, now I was here and now I was there. I met this supplier, and I was like, yay, you go. But it was a mess, a hot mess.
You learn something out of it, right? I think this is so interesting to see so many different ways of seeing ourselves as leader. I remember, maybe my story is very similar to you, Cara. 17, 18 years old. I remember I was doing some of those summer camps when I was in charge of, other kids. And I remember all my life hearing, oh, you're a born leader. You're a born leader. Yeah, cool. What does it actually mean? So I had that idea in my mind that I'm a leader, probably because I was typically the one giving ideas and being huge doer. Okay, let's do it. Let's just go and do it without thinking of consequences. So people thought of me as a leader. And somehow in my head, yes, I was a leader, but I was not being given a chance to actually manage people. I was studying a lot, doing few degrees, and I was coming to the age where I didn't have a lot of work experience. And then when I felt I want to go into leadership, no one would give me a job as a leader if I'm an entry level, even after, masters and whatnot. And then, I started my career and I ended up as a CSM. And it is the first time in my life, I do believe I was listening to some podcast where a lady said, CSMs especially are leaders, and you don't have to wait to get a people leader title to be a leader. And I think that my world shifted when I heard it, because when you think about yourself as a CSM, well, you're an absolute leader for your customers because you are the one who is leading everything that has to happen for them. But also just that notion of you lead by example, you lead by doing, by just making things happen. You don't have to have that title to become a leader. That was really something that stayed with me. But then finally, after some years, I did become a people leader. I didn't cry in front of them. They cried. But Sally, maybe I can go back to you.
Back to the crying, I hope.
But you were not ready at that moment.
No.
Research also shows that when women are applying for roles, they will want to tick all the boxes from the job description versus for men, it just comes easier. Yeah, I know this one and this one. Yeah, fine, I'll apply. So when we want to become leaders and thinking about our next steps, what advice would you give to women who feel that they have to be 100% ready to take on a new leadership role?
That's tricky. I would say, or also what led me there was just building on what we're really good at. And for me, that's connecting. That's like meeting people. That's having bonds with people. And coming through that lens, instead of like having to go by the hard facts, but thinking about like, do I like these people? Can I imagine myself working with these people? Can I see myself in that position? That made it much more tangible and like much more relatable on an emotional level, instead of looking at like years in role or years in study or grades or whatever. And then also a huge part is just look at the other people that have these type of jobs. And that is something that now today I'm a consultant. So I do see a lot of people in leadership, and so many of them have no freaking clue and are just like so confused and so all over the place. A lot of them are men. Looking at them today, I would have like a completely different lens into it. Everybody that's in a leadership role is just a human doing their best, cooking with water, we would say in Germany. So I think like putting that on top of mind, and like realizing this is what's the role intended to do? Do I feel capable of like filling that role? And then the rest, disregard whether it's that's like 5 languages and 8 years in that role.
It's a really beautiful example. I remember my first manager when I was a CSM was, some years younger than me, which firstly I thought, okay, let's see. And then she was just so wonderful being vulnerable. That's the first time when I started learning from leaders the vocabulary around, we're figuring this out. No, I don't know. Let's figure out. And I always thought, you kind of have to know it to be a leader. So again, I just had so many of those shifts in my career. Cara, what would you say? What is your advice for ladies who think they have to be 100% ready?
Is there anybody who wants to get into a leadership role here? Come on, raise your hands. Don't be shy. You see. Bad news, or maybe good news. You can never be 100% ready. And I always thought I need to be like leaders that I admire and that I think that are great leaders. Yes, they're good examples and they can inspire you, but you have to find your own leadership style. I remember 2 months ago, my manager, and he's a co-founder of the company, said, Cara, you cannot be friends with your team. Okay. And I was going to hate me for saying this on camera, but anyway. And I said, yeah, okay. And then I came back home and I said to my husband, I don't think I'm friends with my team, but I think they trust me and I think they would tell me if something's wrong and maybe even private things because I'd know I'd listen, I'd understand, I'd be there for them. I won't solve their private problems. And then I thought, hey, yeah, maybe that's his style, but it's not my style. And I need to find my own style. So you're never going to be 100% ready. And you're also never going to be 100% grown out leader. You're always going to learn. There's always different people. There's different cultures. There's different situations. It's different when you work in a little startup than when you work in a huge company, right? So I think that's really important to know and to take that bold decision and say, hey, I'm maybe not 100% ready, but I'm willing to take the challenge and learn as I go, right? And also be open to your manager and say, hey, it's the first time that I'm leading. I'm probably going to need some guidance from you. And don't be ashamed. I used to be really ashamed when I was first a leader to say, I don't really have a clue what I need to do now, right? So no, don't be ashamed. You can talk to people like, our amazing community. I think the customer success community is the best community because we're people who like to give value to people, right? So take that chance, connect to other leaders on LinkedIn, wherever, in events. And I mean, you guys are doing it and learn from them and ask questions and ask for advice and ask for help. So that would be my comment to that.
Perfect. Pia, anything you would like to add? Simply, I'm thinking also you're coming currently from that background of big company where I'm sure that you are seeing so many people, that in some ways reporting to you and that would like to take that leadership step.
I think it totally resonates. You're never ready. You're going to figure it out. You just need to go with the flow. I think I had in my career one point, which I think I made the biggest mistake in my career, which was my former job. I was leading the customer success team in Europe. And then I got asked from our CMO, we were rolling up our CMO, if that's the right thing for CS to do. That's a different thing. But if I want to be the director of CS globally, which was Americas and Europe, and I had a 3-year-old son, and I was turning that down because I wasn't feeling comfortable. I was thinking, time zones, can I manage that? Maybe not with a small child. You never know. And the new team, like how we are as women, like, oh no, maybe not. And there will be another person who's better than I am. And so I turned it down. What then happened is they hired a guy. He didn't do the job. He was not really good. I then stepped up and did his job for my old salary, obviously, and kind of compensated. And he was the reason why I left the company. So from that moment on, I always promised myself, whenever I have an opportunity, I take it. Whatever comes, I take it. I'm going to figure it out. I have people I can ask for help. And I also think if people ask you if you want to take that opportunity, they would not ask you if they don't think you could be successful. And I think that's kind of what, whenever comes something, just say yes. You're going to figure it out. There might be a million reasons why it's not the right time, the right place. I mean, I think we all wouldn't get children if we would wait to be ready, the right time, the right place, because it's not happening. But I think it's just being confident and trusting and just saying yes. So my lessons learned.
Wow, what a story. And I love that lesson. Just say yes and figure it out and do it. And especially when there are hints coming from other people, when other people recognize there is something in you that you could do the job, trust them, right? The best part of tonight is that you can also ask the questions. Maybe not yet, because I have so many questions here that I want to ask these ladies. Actually, as I'm seeing many of you here, I want to get a little sense of who is not actually from Germany. Very good. Okay, who currently lives outside Germany? Okay, so a few of us kind of traveled to see you all here today. Among you who live in Germany, again, who is not actually from Germany? Okay, I really love that, because I love diversity in this room and diversity in across Europe that we are seeing. So especially as a leader, how do we adapt to different languages, different temperaments, different ways of working, different everything that we are seeing across Europe? Pia, maybe we start from you, because I know that you are on a very high position currently leading EMEA team, but I would like to see that from everybody, really. I think this is such an important topic to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, Icebreaker is an American company. I'm German. My team is German, but also in France, which is quite different, even though we're close to each other. And so I would say, so the first thing is, I think it's good if you're culturally aware. I'm aware we Germans, we tend to be quite direct, which sometimes people think we're rude, but we actually don't mean it that way. I think also the way how we message things are sometimes, quite direct. And I try to also reflect that with my team. Sometimes when they, send an email, then we have our one-on-one, I'm like, just read it. If you're not German, you could have said that, thank you, or how you doing, just to not jump right into the topic, things around that. And then obviously our customers are also globally, even though they're based in Europe, they have sometimes American teams. So I think it's all about being aware, what's the communication style? How can you kind of tie into that? Also, I feel always, what's the work-life balance? I used to work for a Norwegian company, and we Germans being the first ones in the office and the last ones who left. But it was totally normal. I think just how is it working? And then I think also, especially I think for us in CS, how is that hierarchy within the firms and how does that work is important for us, especially when we talk about budget, renewal, who are actually the right people we need to talk to. And is it, if there is quite a strict hierarchy, is it then the CSM talking to the VP, or do I need to come in? And I'm not doing anything different than my CSMs, but sometimes it's the magic of the title. I think you all know that, right? You send the customer 10 emails, they're not replying, then your manager sends an email. All of a sudden, you get a reply. So I think it's just being really aware of that and keeping that in mind. Sometimes I'm also, when I'm under stress, I type an email and then I'm like, oh no, I need to be a bit more friendly, kind of the tone needs to be different. I think AI can really help with that. It's like you type an email, said, bit nicer, done, off, gone. So leverage that.
I would love to throw a book recommendation in here. I don't know if anybody of you has read The Culture Map. It's a yellow book that has a blue. Oh, I love it. So many nodding. It's the best book. Like, it's so good. My co-founder that I referred to earlier, Amy, she's American. And when we first started working together, she constantly asked me whether I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, stop asking me, please. Because I was just like, can we get stuff done? And she's like bubbly all over the place, which is fun. And today it works really well. But we constantly had this weird situation where she was like, I'm super pissed. And I thought she's super fake, like in very hard words, which was never the case on any side. But yeah, she actually recommended me the book, and that cleared so many things for me. So it looks at cultures in, I think it's 8 different perspectives. And it goes, for example, low context versus high context. Like, how direct are we? How much is there between the lines? Especially when we interact with the French, for example. I had a customer offsite this week with French people. It's very different. But it also looks at hierarchy. It looks at all different things. And it's so interesting because it always has this scale that goes from one extreme to the next, and it places the countries. So for anybody that hasn't read it, fantastic book.
Yeah, I think you mentioned the most important, communication is key, right? I think also, so I work in a remote company, so 100% remote. We don't have any offices, and my team is spread over Germany, Sweden, Spain, and Egypt. And we just had Ramadan now, and that is really a different culture. So, and I think it's totally fine. So I know a little bit about Egyptian culture and Ramadan, but, didn't know all the details. And I think it's always good to ask and also be curious, right? So we made a rule that when our Egyptian colleagues are in a meeting and they are fasting at the moment, that we don't eat or we don't drink any water, right? So respect the culture and, openly communicate it. I think that's also important. And the Egyptians also like to call you boss. So I have one Egyptian who said, "Hi, boss." And I was like, "Stop calling me boss. I don't like it." And he's like, "No, but you're my boss." And I was like, "Yeah, but it doesn't feel right." So I think also try to find that, empathy and that kind of humor within the different cultures. And but I think you mentioned the most important things.
I really love seeing all of us here coming from different cultures to Germany now, today, speaking in English. From all of us here, whose kind of business language is English all the time? Okay, so for majority. So only for some can be probably German if you're here. Very good. I really love hearing that because after 6 o'clock, my English comes a little bit... The level of my English comes a little bit out of the window. So good, we are all in the same boat. As a consultant, I currently work with a German company, and I didn't know that thing about the lunch. So there is 1 hour difference between UK and Germany, and I typically put meetings at 11 o'clock, right? Perfect timing for a meeting. No, you booked again over my lunch. Why? And then I realized, I'm so sorry, like the lunch is a big, big, big thing. And I always used to work for Californian-based headquarter company, people who barely sleep. They just work constantly. There's no lunch. There's nothing else. So this is such a good thing for me. Like I really know what is the time. I really want to respect everybody's lunch because I think it's wonderful. And you have such an awesome culture of having that lunch together. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, ladies. Because we are women here and we are hearing all sorts of different messages for years about, how to succeed in your career, how to have it all, how to have it all when you have family, how to have it all when you are, only running for your career. What does it even mean for you ladies, having it all? Or shall we say, what does it mean having it all at this point of my life? Cara, let me start with you, just because, I don't know, you have so many exciting things coming up in your life in the next coming months. I don't know if you need to tell, but I think you're well positioned to start a conversation about having it all.
I think you don't need to have it all. I stopped trying to have it all, really. I think nowadays everybody feels pressure of having their side hustle and becoming a co-founder and doing something here, doing something there. You don't need to have it all and do all. I think the most important thing is that you're happy with what you have, that you set your priorities right, that you have your right values. So I have 2 kids. I'm 36, okay? I turned 36 yesterday. I have 2, thank you. I have 2 kids and I'm pregnant with my 3rd one. And I told the ladies, because they asked me if we're going to come to Gainside in November, I was like, I'm probably busy. I cannot come. And then Marija was like, oh, now I have to ask you the question about having it all. I just try to survive. So I try to organize myself well. I try to do my best if I can. And I also try to know when I cannot have it all and I cannot do it all. Know your limits and ask for help. You're not more stupid or less confident or less talented if you ask for help. And I think that's a really important thing that everybody has to just say to themselves. Hey, what are my priorities? What are my values? And what does having it all for mean me? It's not the same for me as for Sally, as for Pia, as for Marija, as for all of you. Having it all is different for everybody.
Oh, I love it so much. Especially as soon as I ask you the question, what is having it all? You just said, no, just forget it. I love it because I was under that pressure as well. And I remember a few years ago at the evening times when I was preparing school uniform for my children the next day, I would feel very guilty because I'm not working, and I'm not working on those hundreds and more tasks that have to be completed by tomorrow. And once I realized what I was doing, I started changing things in my life and in my career. And today, for me, having it all means, I do the work that I get paid for, but then I'm taking my kids swimming, which I'm missing right now, taking them to different places and things that I can see them. I can see them after school. So many things that were completely different, like even 5 years ago. And I'm happy that at least the conversations in the world now is shifting more towards what is even having it all. You don't need to have it all. Plus, it is really what's important for you in this particular moment. Any thoughts on that, Pia? I know you're also juggling so many different things in your life.
Yeah, I would say, having it all in my sense is, having a family and a career, which is not easy. And I would say you can have it all, but it's not perfect. It's not easy. You can't do it alone. You need a support network. My day has only 24 hours. My husband travels a lot. I travel a lot. Our son would be home alone if we don't have a support network. And I think it's just also really, making a decision around what's your priorities, what's important for you, what battles are you fighting, kind of. And also, if I try to be present. So if I spend time with my little one, I try to spend time with him and not work, because I know both things doesn't work out. If I work, then I try to work and not jiggle. Sometimes you have to jiggle a sick child, but normally that doesn't work well. So I think really making that priority, and then once you prioritize, be present in what you're doing, I think is a good way to look at it. But it's not easy, and it's not perfect. And I think like social media always, shows this women who have a career and kids, and they look amazing, and it looks all easy. And I think, nowadays, luckily, there is a bit more, I think, awareness that that's fake. But I think it puts us under a lot of pressure to exactly have that.
Thanks for saying that. What puts you under the pressure? Cara, I think you put me on pressure when I see your gorgeous photos on LinkedIn. They all look so awesome. I'm thinking,
LinkedIn is fake. At least on my end. Most of the time.
Wondering, ladies, what are your non-negotiables when it comes to work?
For me, it's probably around times, like what times in the day I'm dedicating to work. Especially in my former role at Twilio, also an American company, lots of meetings would be at night or would be like at really inconvenient times. We had colleagues in India. That again was in weird times. And in the beginning, I tried to attend everything, and it was just so unnecessary. And many times, and especially in the age, again, AI, summaries, they are so good. It's just not necessary. So wherever possible, like setting boundaries around the times that I'm available. And then also when I'm not available, I'm actually not available, which is a bit wild for someone in the young phase of a company. But for example, I'm going to be off the week after next, and I purposefully do things like skiing that time around. You can't have a phone in your hand. It's just physically not possible to be reachable, and I love it.
Yeah, I would like to hear from you. Non-negotiables for work.
That's a difficult question. I'm not good in that. I tend to be a workaholic, and I think if I wouldn't have a family, Laura's laughing. Laura used to be my old manager, so she knows I work a lot and I do enjoy it. So I have to, but I would say my non-negotiables come more in from the family side. So we always try. So every evening I'm at home, we have a dinner together with our little one. We sit down, we have dinner, normally block off between 6 and 8. So we have some quality time together. Obviously, that's limited. I would say that's my blockers. Obviously, in my role, there are late calls, there are early ones. If there are escalations, I'm pulled in. So it's difficult. I definitely need to get better on that. That's, by the way, one of my focuses for this year, to say no. I'm not good in that when it comes to job context. I'm good in private life, but when it comes to the job context, I have to say no more often. But I do agree. AI helps. If there's like all hands meeting, I just watch the recording, double the speed. So I save 30 minutes. That's what I say to myself. But definitely an area of improvement for me.
I came to realize that a lot of things that really suck my energies and that are other things that give me energy. So I try to eliminate those ones that suck my energy and try to put focus on the ones that give me energy. And I actually have a leadership coach, the UC. And we did a little bit of exercise of what kind of person I am. And there's different, I don't know what the model is called. I'm really bad at remembering names. But there's different kind of types of people that people can be. You can be various types. And I'm, for example, my base is a thinker, right? So I'm a very logical person. If you tell something you want to convince me, come with numbers and I'm convinced. But then I'm also a very harmonizer, right? So I like harmony, etc. Well, my manager is zero harmonizer. Okay. And he knows that, and he knows that I'm a harmonizer. What does harmonizer mean? Harmonizer means it's a person that likes to be appreciated, that likes every now and then, hey, Cara, well done, which is actually stupid, right? Because I think I'm confident enough to say that I know when I've done something well. No, but I need a little bit of that extra, the extra push from outside, and that gives me energy. So if I hear something like that, and I'm hearing a lot of nodding, I think that's very woman-like. And so my non-negotiable actually was with my manager, that I told him, I need every now and then from you a little bit of TLC, tender love and care. I know he's also a thinker, so we're very good on that base. So when we talk numbers, we're all aligned. But he's not the typical who would say, oh, Cara, nice, you saved the 250K renewal. Well done. Something like, no, it's my job. I know that, but at least a little bit of TLC, right? So that was my non-negotiable actually that I did with my manager, to say, hey, I need it every now and then because it gives me energy to keep working crazy hours, and we also work quite a lot, but it's just more enjoyable when you know that you're appreciated. So
something you just went over real quick, but I think it's a real big one, is making time for learning and finding coaching. I think that's a great piece as well. I did negotiate that as my bonus last year out as well, that I did a leadership coaching because it's so great. So another non-negotiable, and something that I see unfortunately with a lot of the CSMs that we work with is training, developments. They always put it as a blocker somewhere in their calendar, but they never actually take it. So maybe that might be a start if you want to actually start setting those boundaries. This time actually has to happen. And we force every leader that does capacity planning or that does like time studies with their CSMs, like this should be a non-negotiable. I want to reiterate on that.
I remember as a CSM, from 2:00 in the afternoon, I think that I'm just worth for nothing when it comes to work. Maybe for an hour or so. It's not that I was ever doing siesta, but I can't work during that time. So I would always take something to learn, like a course. It used to be those CSM certifications. But I just remember when I felt like down during that time of the day, I would start learning or going through the course. At least after 45 minutes, I would feel useful. Cool. I think this is a very cool time for you to start asking questions. But before that, I have just one rapid fire question for all of you ladies that you will need to respond very, very briefly. Okay, so if you could swap your role with somebody else's for a day, who would you choose?
I would choose my biggest customer. and see it from the outside to see what their process. But like ideally, I want to go through the entire day, through everything from onboarding to, everything, adoption, renewal. But I'd love to be in the shoes of the customer one day, of our biggest customer.
Thank you. That was very committed, right? Okay, we have time.
I think an engineer, because that's a word I don't understand. That's, when they start talking, I can hear what they say, but I actually can't understand. So I think it would be nice to have a bit of that background to understand some of the challenges we also maybe face. Yeah, maybe something totally unrelated to what I do right now.
Thank you.
Now it works, I think.
Ooh, well done.
When you asked that question, something way bigger came to mind. I would love to change with one of those very male, very old leaders that are shaping the world at the moment. I just can't see any Merzes or Trumps or whomever anymore. So if I get to actually swap with one, I would probably like to sit in our coalition debates right now and just be like, let's.
What would you actually tell them? That's what I wonder.
I would do a beautiful Miro board and be like, people, this is all so freaking messy and so many historic stuff that is influencing these type of discussions right now. And what we do with all our customers is come in with a fresh perspective and laying the land. And I would love to do that.
I'm just imagining that. Okay, ladies. I'm going to be walking here because I would like you to have a chance to ask questions and you can shift mics among yourselves. Who would like to get us started?
Ladies, what is your secret of not being burnout? The secret of inspiration? I don't know. How do you recharge? Now.
I had a burnout.
Tell us more.
It wasn't actually within CS. So I used to work at Unilever. And I was a brand manager for Ben & Jerry's ice cream. It was my favorite job on earth. I loved it. I was responsible for Germany, Switzerland, Austria. I took 52 flights a year. That's one each week. And I burned out. I had to stop. I had to pull everything and I had to stop. So what's my secret now? I think it goes a little bit along with, again, that draining energy and giving you energy. So I like to be very mindful also of the hours I work. And I have a husband who's a pain in the ass when he knows I'm working too much. So his role is really to say, Cara, it's enough now. You're not going to change the world and you're not going to, people are not going to die if you turn off your laptop now. Now that sounds like a real workaholic. Not an alcoholic. Let's change topics. But he's sort of my zone and my person that takes care. Hey, you've had enough now. You probably need a break.
For me, it's fun hobbies, again, that you can't think while you do them. For example, I was doing the same exercise with the energy, in that course we call it Tankstellen and Drainer, or energy sources, gas stations and outdoors. And it asked when are you in the flow, when are you not thinking? And for me, that's when I go cycling, rhythm cycling in a Beat 81 row cycle, whatever studio, something where the music is so loud that you can't think about things. And I do that 2-3 times ideally a week. And it's so good because it is this reset because you're not able to think about something. But maybe that's swimming because you are underwater, or it is whatever else, but something where the brain has to shut off.
For me, it's running actually. I can relax when I run, and sometimes my team is laughing because I try to run on my lunch break, and then I come back and it's while I was running, I actually, and then they have to laugh. But for me, that's really something which gives me energy, and also meeting friends. My husband is the opposite. He needs to have his time on his own, and I can really get energy from meeting friends. So I'm trying to prioritize that. And he also kind of, watches me. And sometimes when he feels like I haven't met friends for a while, he's like, when you're seeing the girls again, you need some energy. I would say there is definitely a risk, especially if you work long hours. So yeah, and I think there's, the world is not falling apart. I mean, as I told you, I worked in shipping, and one of my part of the job was I was managing also the vessel. So I was telling the captains where to go next, what cargo they should be loading, and we were doing liquid gas, and there were refineries waiting for that, and then obviously people being supplied with that energy, so that if something didn't work, that was a problem. They called me at night because someone got sick, or they had, there was a proper problem. Now it's always tell myself it's only software, no one's gonna die. And I think sometimes you need that for, once you get in like a stress mode, to just relax. So yeah,
This is very valuable. Thank you for the question. Just in case I haven't mentioned, you're allowed to ask customer success related questions as well. If you really have to. Okay, we have one hand here.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, how are you creating this one culture when you're in this kind of multinational, a lot of cultures? You just said you're working with people from Egypt. How are you trying to put this all under one umbrella?
Get together with the team and ask them what kind of team culture they like to have. So I think one culture is probably the company culture that you're not going to change as a single person. But within your team, I think you can very well create your own culture. And the ones that build the culture are the people that are in the team, right? So just giving you the example with the Egyptian, I think he tapped really, really well into our team, which is full of direct Germans and very different, obviously. But I think he knew that, and he accepts what the culture is like in Germany, and we accept what his culture is like. And we try to find sort of like a common ground. Sounds a little bit like we're angry at each other, which is not the case. And we try to meet also, right? Because we're 100% remote. And with 100% remote, you need to better have a good communication. So if you're missing a smiley, it could very well be read in another way. So that's why we also try to meet in person. And that's where we actually don't work. Like we just do team culture things, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I think having fun together is important in order to have a good culture amongst the team. I would also say, because my team is also, we do have offices, but some people also work remote. I normally try to start my one-on-ones with not, how's the renewal going? How, what are the numbers? Show me this. I always try to have a bit of a private conversation. How was your weekend? How are you feeling? Is there anything which bothers you? Just to also have that personal connection instead of just being, the manager or the leader or something like that. And also, I think if we are ourselves vulnerable in front of our team, that creates a culture as well. I'm not perfect. No one of us is perfect. And we all have tough days, tough weeks, and I think being honest and open about that helps also to create that culture where everyone feels like you're in a safe space. You can say whatever you want to say without anyone being angry or, something like that.
Thank you. There was a question here.
I'll be very demanding with my question. So on the same vein of culture, we talked about non-negotiables. And so when it comes to a healthy culture or fostering that healthy culture, what are the 3 top non-negotiable values that you think a team should have? For example, an ethos of care, trust, transparency. So what are your top 3?
For me, immediately honesty came to mind. Maybe that goes in line with transparency. You could probably semantically weigh one against the other. But the openness, the candidness, being open about things. Maybe that's very German of me. But the honesty for me would be on the top 3.
Yeah, I think I'd say transparency, trust, and empathy. That will be my top 3.
Yeah, for me, exactly the same. I would say also collaboration is a really important one, that people help out each other. We really a team. Everyone is good in something. Other people are not that good. How can we work together as a team and be successful as a team? not the individual person. I think that's important as well.
If I may add one thing, a bit to both of the questions, but everything that we just talked about and that you just asked, as a trained project manager and as someone seeing that we all kind of would say similar things, but a lot of organizations don't live it. Oftentimes it's just about stating the obvious and documenting that. May it be our 101 framework that we all follow. May it be the values that we have in the team. May it be the rules that we set up. We also do that within leadership teams, that we write a leadership manifesto. Like, these are the things that are important for us. So asking these exact questions that we answered for us now to your team, and then documenting that and keep bringing that back up. Actually, my former employer, Twilio, was really great at that. Everybody knew these values. They were on all the walls. It was lived and everything. And even the strategic goals were tied to these things. And then it becomes like, to your point earlier, it's like one and it comes together. But that's just from a practical perspective.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to say it's really inspiring and interesting to listen to your answers. And thank you for that. My question is, do you use AI in your daily work? And where exactly to be maybe faster, more perfect, or more productive? And do you also encourage your teams to use it? And for what kind of tasks?
Oh, 100%, if I may start. I'm a huge fan. I think we subscribe to all the offers, all the enterprise plans. So for me personally, like, the very basics are my note taker in meetings. I'm a huge fan of Fathom AI. We just did a whole team account for that. It's fantastic. It ties into your CRM and it kind of deducts tasks out of your calls directly into there. When I first read the first task in HubSpot that I didn't create myself, I was like, it's so good that it felt like it read my mind. I was like, where does this come from? How would it know? So that's great. All my writing, all my drafting, concise type communication, either do with Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever you prefer. Research. We have a list of prompts for our CSMs that we train that they can put in, for example, Perplexity, because it's a bit better with research and sources. Things just like, I'm preparing for this SBR. Here's my outline. This is the company. Help me to understand their last yearly report, their current hiring plans, their blah, so that they can just plug it in and get this like profile of whom they're going to talk to. I do it. I research my prospects. I research all of that.
So we use our own product, obviously, for meetings, preparing for a meeting, follow-up, which is obviously having an AI behind it. And then we fully subscribed everyone, the full team to, or the full company, to a Microsoft Copilot. So we use that for everything: email, research, researching in our own tools. So if a CSM gets a new account, they just type in, what should I know about company XYZ? And then you get all the information, everything which has been done in like a cheat sheet. So that's really saving time. And then, I would say that's mainly what we use currently.
Gosh, I'm such a beginner. No, so we also use Note Taker, ChatGPT, etc. What I'm currently looking at is an AI tool that predicts health scores. So it takes meetings, notes, support tickets, etc., and detects certain words, or things to actually determine a health score. So it's not just a feeling from the CSM itself, but it's a real based on data thing. But I still haven't found the perfect one.
One of my favorite prompts actually is, because we talked about personality types early on, if you start to get to know someone and you have a few emails of theirs, it's really great to summarize how this person communicates. And then be like, I want to convey this message. And for us, it's oftentimes negotiating a price or something, for example. And then my lengthy words might not fit their communication style. So adapting it to that is really great. And also, if you have CSMs that have, you said it earlier, maybe need to talk to a VP or someone in another function, someone maybe very technical. I also love to go in and be like, pretend you are the CTO of this certain industry. What would you be interested in, or what you would be thinking about? Pretty helpful.
Very good question. It was one. Do we have one more question? Or we can end with Annika?
feel honored to end with maybe a spicy question, actually. But ladies, thank you so much for being vulnerable and open. It's been absolutely amazing getting to know who you are. Something Maria said and something Pia mentioned has inspired this question. Maria was just saying how women have to tick all the boxes before they apply for a job. And Pia also said that she didn't take the pay rise. And I think something that we don't talk about as women in the workforce is money and finances. And another little stat is most women will take the first salary that's offered to them. They never negotiate anything. And I think there's a big gap that we're still trying to fill as women. So I'm curious to hear, how have you guys negotiated and climbed the ladder or increased your salary, and any tips that you have to share in that way? So...
Thank you. We'll be sharing.
I would agree that we definitely not as confident in negotiating. I think so. One of the most successful tactics is when you have an offer, a different offer, you would really go for, right? It only works if you're really comfortable. If you don't get the pay rise in your existing company, that you then actually make the move, because otherwise it's a gamble. So you have to be, I don't know how risk averse you are or not. But normally that worked really well. So, that you set your expectation with your current company. That's what I want. That's what I'm worth, but also come with numbers. So what have you achieved, right? Why you are worth the pay rise? And then if not, you have an option B. You will be go for, because, let's be honest, there's no one coming around, oh, you're doing a great job, I give you X amount more, right? You need to demand it. You need to come with numbers, show the value you bring, but then also have a other option you would go for in case it doesn't turn out. That's been successful for me. And I think in general, obviously, the results you bring, but in terms of numbers, that's also what I explained to my team, because not only climbing the ladder, but also as an individual contributor, if you want to get promoted, what do we have achieved? What's the target we set ourselves? What have we achieved in terms of renewal numbers, but also growth of customers and all the other stuff. You need to really be able to report on that and show the value you bring. Otherwise, obviously, it's difficult to negotiate any pay rise or anything.
Totally. And actually, I really like that you bring it up, because I think talking about it with others is a major one. Remember the job I cried at? That was also one that I was really underpaid at, because I was the youngest one, and I was in this study program. So it was a fixed salary, like an Ausbildungsgehalt in Germany, really low training salary, and I mean low. And they never upgraded that because I never asked for it. Also, again, it was a mess, so I wouldn't have. But after a few years, and I was at a job for 2 more years afterwards, I only then started talking about it with my older and more male colleagues. And I figured that some of them earned double of what I got for the same job after a while. I raised it, but I was also ready to leave, to be honest. So it was easy for me to be vocal about it. And I actually had a leader that was like, nope, sorry, can't change that. And I quit that same month. And I was like, now it just is too much. But talking about it, never asking for it is, I think, a huge gap. And asking for it within a company might be difficult, although we're really well protected. I mean, in the EU, you're allowed to ask all these things, and they need to give you the answers. But also talk about amongst your friends. Like if I look at my boyfriend and his gang, like they talk about these things all of the time. And we don't do that much. And it goes true for the same things, like investing, like which type of ETFs do you look at? Or how do you find this coin or whatever? Never talked about it before with my friends. And now I force my sisters to talk about it with me.
So everybody share your salary later. Yeah, exactly. No, I do the same as Pia. So I always try to have one foot outside the door to know my worth. If you don't do that, then you don't know what you're worth, right? And just, I mean, obviously you don't want to put them under pressure. And it sounds a little bit like the renewal with the customer. We're going to resign if you're increasing prices. But at the end, it's a negotiation, right? And you need to know your worth. And I think one important thing to what you just said, you also have to know your numbers and how you performed. I think it's more than that. I think the problem that I used to have when I used to be an individual contributor for 6 years and I was never promoted and I got so frustrated was because I only saw it from my perspective and not from the company's perspective. right? So I made it about me all the time. Now I'm giving away my whole workshop for tomorrow's artist circus. But anyway, and I think that's a huge problem. I had people from my team come up to me and said, "Hey, Cara, I used to be a senior CSM," and she was a CSM on my team. And I want to go back to being a senior CSM. And that was her speech to get promoted. And I was like, yeah, but you're here, you're not there, right? So I think you really need to show like what kind of impact are you making to the company? What does it mean for the company when they put you in this higher position, right? So I got promoted twice now in 1.5 years because I got it. Like it finally made click because I didn't make it all about me. I made it about the company. I said to him, if you're going to put me in a leader position, I will make those other rise and make the whole department better because I delivered A, B, C, D, and then have your numbers, of course, right? But I think you need to really step backwards and look from the outside rather from the company's perspective rather than only yourself.
Thank you, ladies, for that. I would also double down on what Sally said about asking male colleagues. I heard that advice from somebody. When you want to know what people are earning, don't speak with a woman on your team, but speak with the guys, because then that's how you get to find out. I may be wrong, but I don't think that anyone got fired ever just because they asked for a rise. So you can always ask for more money, but it has to be backed with, obviously, all your impact that you are bringing to the company and what they could, how could they benefit from either paying you more or investing in you in other ways, depending what is the negotiation. It's all about, Cara, exactly what you said, from the company's perspective, and also understanding when are they promoting, when are they increasing salaries, is there a particular cycle within the year? Just prepare yourself with some of that research in advance.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah, maybe.
Because that's also something that stopped me or hold me back a little bit. Oh, but the promotion cycle is still it's still 6 months to go. So I'll wait a month before that. And then I talk to my manager. No. Talk if you guys, those people that rose their hand before that who want to come into a people leadership role, on Monday, you're going to go to your manager with a plan, okay, and backed up with data. But with a plan, you're going to tell them, I'm working on getting promoted. This is what I'm doing. What's your feedback? What advice would you give me? Because he's or she's the first one you want to have as an advocate, right? If the manager is not the advocate, and she might only be the only one who decides it, right? There's probably a promotion committee, but don't wait. You need to know those cycles. I've had so many colleagues who got promoted outside of those cycles, right? Don't wait for the cycle. I just wanted to add that.
The first person that I promoted was the person that we had that conversation about what he wanted to be during the interview. So I know throughout the whole years that he was working where he would like to go. It was helping me as a manager so much, knowing where some of the people from my team want to go. And again, that's up to us to tell others. No one will read our minds and thinking, oh, she would like to become XYZ next year. No, it has to happen from us. Ladies, thank you so much for your amazing insights, for sharing experiences, for coming here from, some of you from different places. I'm really happy that we had this conversation. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Now, what's happening next? There's so much food. I would like to invite you all to carry on with your food, with your drinks, with networking. Try to also think and maybe you even chat about some of the takeaways that you are going to do on Monday, because you have tomorrow and the whole weekend to make that plan. ChatGPT with data, easy, 5 minutes. Just joking, make it proper. Ladies, I have a little something for you. Thank you all for sharing this with us. Thank you.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
Don't share that with others.